Well, I've asked my good friend Jim Suter to come today. He is the owner of American Insurance Managers. And we're going to talk about everything from annuities to Winchester, Tennessee, where he was from. It's going to be a great discussion. Hope you enjoy it. Well, I already did a monologue.
Okay.
We just make it up as we go.
There you go. I don't think we're going to have any trouble filling in the spots.
I do people. No.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you this. Do you remember the first day we met?
You know, I can't say that I do.
I was at a political function at Brenda Lawson's, and Larry Presswood brought you in, and you did a few magic tricks.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
I've been to Brenda's political functions a couple of times, and I don't even remember that. No.
I guess it was probably the first week you were here.
Yeah, it could have been. I came to Cleveland. Actually, before I moved here, I was working in the transportation industry. So late 89, I think I finally moved here around, I can't even remember, around 91, something like that.
But you were working here?
Yeah.
For the trucking company?
I was a terminal manager with Consolidated Freightways. Started with them out of Nashville. But, yeah, that's been a few years ago.
How many years ago?
Well, you know, I've had my insurance agency now for 25 years. I've been in insurance for 25 years.
You were in the insurance business
Okay,
then.
so that'd been a while.
Whenever you read a story in the newspaper or see something on television about somebody getting arrested, you naturally assume they're guilty. Unless the story's about you or someone you love, then you'll think differently. And you'll want a lawyer who will defend you. My name's Scott Canavis. If you or someone you love has been charged with a crime, call me. I'll return your phone calls, I'll work on your case, and I will defend you.
Now, I knew, was it your brother that was in the insurance for Farm Bureau?
My dad.
Your dad, that was your dad?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, he tried his best to get me to come join him over at Farm Bureau.
That would have probably been a good place to work, probably.
Yeah. We gave each other referrals back in the day. But yeah, he was in it for a long time.
Oh, from the time I was 16, maybe 17, 18.
Yeah.
So you're saying about 89 would have been about that time?
Yeah. About the time I started getting familiar with Cleveland, coming in.
Well, what about Larry? Was he good friends of yours?
Yeah, he was. You know, he was a little bit more than an acquaintance, but
He really liked you.
Yeah, he was a different guy too, and
different.
and just he had no troubles, did he? He was a free spirit.
I wished I could buy his attitude.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter what you threw at him; he would go on.
Yeah.
You know, his first wife got her arm cut off. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, somewhere. I think she was from Franklin.
Okay. And I'm from Franklin County, which it gets confused a lot with Franklin outside of Nashville. I grew up in Winchester, Tennessee, and graduated there in '81.
Isn't that some kind of hilly up in there?
Yeah, a little bit. Yep. It's still considered Middle Tennessee, which is more rolling hills, but not like our mountains that we have over here. But then I went to Tennessee Tech, graduated Franklin County in '81, and Tennessee Tech in '85, where I met my wife over there, and then went to work for Averitt Express.
Averitt, yeah. That's
Then
right.
I went to work for ABF, kind of used them as springboards, but I was with Consolidated Freightways as an account executive and a terminal manager for about 13 years, something like that, before I got into the insurance industry. But
Were you familiar with Dinah Shore? She was from there, right?
yes, yeah. Winchester looks up to her as one of her own. Named the boulevard after her.
Is that right?
Used to be, Winchester and Cleveland are not that dissimilar, but you just got to go back a long time. I can remember as a kid we would we would go around the Sonic, come down the boulevard, go around the square, go back down the boulevard. You know, you had
Yeah.
your route that you made. But we named our boulevard Dinosaur Boulevard after her. So yeah.
Did she date Burt Reynolds or was she was going to marry Jimmy Stewart, something like that?
Maybe. I don't know.
Who else is it from Winchester? Where's
Well, you got what is it, Molly Crockett that's buried over there.
that was Davy Crockett's wife,
Yes,
right?
yes.
That's
and
right.
we got Tim's Ford Lake. Again, I call that my hometown, but I really feel I've made a home in Cleveland.
You're a Clevelander
raised my
through and
kids,
through.
and it's so ironic that a lot of my really close friends graduated high school in '81, and most people think I'm from here. So I've been here, 30-something years. So that's long enough to say this is home.
I wouldn't have thought you were from anywhere else if Larry hadn't introduced you to me that day.
Yeah. It's Cleveland's a small community, and I love Cleveland. I don't recommend keeping your doors unlocked, but you can.
Oh, you can.
And it's still small. It's still small, and I know the people that are from here, that have been here for multiple generations, probably don't care for the growth that we've had. I hear a lot of people complain about that, but because that boulevard I was talking about in Winchester, I can remember you knew every other car that came by. You knew who they were, and I think that's the way it was here in Cleveland.
It was
years ago.
It was,
but not nowhere near that now.
There's nothing we can do about it. It just is what it is.
Exactly right.
And probably if you were, I try to put things into perspective. If you were 70 years old in 1975, you probably drove down Cleveland and said, "Boy, this just ain't hometown like it used to be."
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably all just relevant.
Yes.
I know a lot. We got a lot of city councilmen and county commissioners that aren't even from here. That's, and they're doing fine, but
Yeah.
it's just different now.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people come in. I think one of the big things that freaked everybody out was when we finally voted liquor in by the drink. And I thought there'd be cars turned over and riots going on. But that's because of all the other people that came in.
And maybe they've got some good rules about it. I don't know what the rules are, but maybe they've learned from other cities to have rules that are,
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't, they're going to just drive to Chattanooga anyway.
Yeah, I think they've figured that out. Yes, they have.
Larry, he was really, I don't want to just touch on him a little bit because he was really a great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just one of a kind of smart guy.
And he was a native, correct? Was he
Oh,
from
yeah.
here?
He
born
grew
and
up on
raised?
Galt.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, he grew up on Galt Street, and his dad was. I got a picture of him. Well, I've got that cabinet outside, or in the kitchen. His sister gave that to me, and it was his. And I've got all his hats on it, and a photo album that was in his house that she gave to me. And it's got a picture when he was 4 years old on Inman Street in a stroller.
Wow.
So he was from Cleveland, buddy.
Wow. Yeah, that's been a while.
Did you think what transitioned you from the like Averett Express and that world? Because that's a world of its own. That
Yeah.
it-
It's a good question. I think I'm like any other young man coming out of college. You just want a job. Which I had a family on the way. I had kids to take care of. My wife didn't work outside the home. I always wanted a company car, an expense report, and to be in sales and to travel a little bit. But I was looking for any job I could get. One of the first people I ever interviewed with was an insurance company, and I really interviewed with them just for practice. And they make you take a personality test, and I took the personality test, and they said, "Man, you've scored higher than anyone that's ever scored on this. You need to be in insurance." And I remember walking out of there thinking, I got a college degree. Why would I ever belittle myself so low to be an insurance salesman? And then I got into transportation after that. But I always wanted to own a piece of my own business and be my own boss. And that was the transition that really got me out of leaving the transportation industry to get into insurance. And I looked at insurance as a great residual industry. You know, everybody buys insurance. It's just who they're going to buy it from. You know, if you own a house, have a loan, the bank's going to make you buy insurance. If you have a car, you got to buy insurance.
If you don't have insurance, you're a real outlier.
That's exactly right. And no one likes paying for it. Don't
No.
get me wrong. But insurance is one of the legs of the chair that holds our country up, and we rebuild communities. And it's without it, we couldn't survive. And it's the concept is a good concept. You know, even in the Bible, I think it was Solomon said, take your wealth and put it in 7 or maybe even 8 different areas. So not if, but when calamity comes, you don't lose everything you got. He just described insurance. And that's why you take a little piece of your income and you keep the catastrophic things from happening. And I'm a big advocate for self-insuring the small things. Don't waste your money on the small things. Just insure the large things. So
Now, I always felt like that over time, I found out that my insurance was almost a wash. I've almost paid in as much as I've gotten back when that roof gets hail damage or a fire or something.
well, that's a win.
Yeah, hopefully not
Yeah.
not liability, thank goodness. But,
Yes. Well, that's a win.
I mean, isn't that really what it's set up for? I mean, they'll like take all of the fires in our area, divide up the cost of the fires, and divide that between. I mean, in theory,
You're talking about actuaries there.
Actuaries, yeah.
And that kind of gets a little bit over my head. I understand how it works. I'm a CIC, I'm a certified insurance counselor, which is like a CPA of commercial insurance. And we get into some of that. And I tell you who's having the biggest problem right now is Florida. They have redone their actuaries in Florida, where it used to be you had the 100-year storm or the 500-year flood that we hear about here that's all of a sudden not 500.
right.
The new statistics and actuaries out of Florida are stating that if you own coastal property down there, you're going to get hit one out of every 20 years. And so, yeah, they run their numbers off that. And it's almost getting to the point where if you own property on the coast in Florida, you may not be able to afford it, especially if it's a big, big piece of property. I've got a condo down there, and my insurance has almost tripled over the last 6-7 years, and it's ugly.
You can't hardly foresee that either. I mean, that's a big jump.
No, you can't. The other problem with Florida is the insurance commissioner in Florida is an elected position, whereas in Tennessee, it's an appointed position by the governor. And Florida is full of retired people, and obviously they're on set budgets, and before you can have a rate increase, it has to be approved by the insurance commissioner. And he wouldn't let that happen after Katrina hit. And when that happened, all the good carriers, insurance companies, left Florida because they said, we just can't operate because of our actuaries. We can't charge enough people. The insurance commissioner wouldn't allow them to raise the rates to make it justifiable, so they left. So the insurance companies in Florida are there's 2 types of insurance companies. There's admitted and non-admitted. And you want to be with an admitted company that's approved by the insurance commissioner. That goes from their financial strength to what's in the policy that protects the citizens of the state. And most of the policies in Florida are non-admitted. And an insurance policy is nothing special about it, just a contract. And so that insurance commissioner makes that contract sound for its citizens. So when you buy a policy in Florida, you really better read that fine print. And it's given the insurance industry, in my opinion, a bad name because you want your claims paid.
Almost a feel-good policy or something.
Yeah, Yeah, they've actually got two. They got two different things now for property damage. You get one rate if you want to choose your own contractor, and then there's another rate if you let the insurance company choose the contractor when you have property damage.
Which is higher.
Oh, without a doubt, when you get the insurance company to choose their own contractor, that's you get that's the lower of the two. I'm sorry. Yeah, the higher one is when you get to pick your own contractor, which. Florida is full of, I don't mean to be talking all about Florida today, but Florida is full of regulations. I mean, you don't put a screen on your porch without getting a permit for that. And I don't know if you want to get into Doge or not today. I'd love to talk a little bit about Doge, but I'm hoping to see some regulation back off a little bit where we can fuel our economy a little bit better. But
If they'll take some regulations off, they won't be able to hold it down. Things will be going.
And that benefits everybody. We America is one of the largest economies. GDP. It's the largest GDP in the world. But it's when we turn loose and we get our economic engine going, we're unstoppable.
Katie bar the door.
That's right, unstoppable. So you being in the construction industry, how often is regulation a problem for you?
On the hour.
Only.
I mean, it's bizarre.
And has it gotten worse through the years?
Oh, it's just gotten so bad. It's just gotten so bad. I can't say in words how bad it is. And not for the good.
Yeah.
Not for the good. I mean, if it was for the good, we should be doing that anyway.
Right.
They have a Southern Building Code, minimum building standards, and that should be what things are.
Yeah.
But then you get into flood zones, and that's that gets all. Well, now before I start, I almost need to have a geo survey, to make sure that the soil's compactable if we're going to compact it.
Right.
Got to make sure that we've got a stormwater permit, and if you don't need it because it's not big enough, you still need it because now they made you liable. It used to be you can't flood your neighbor, or you can't change you can't change the direction or the volume.
Yep.
Now you got to put it in this hole and graduate the speed at which it comes in, which is all good.
Yeah.
So that's really not necessarily a regulation, but having somebody walk that silk fence daily and monitor and record on the site what he saw, that's what we got to do.
Are you serious?
Oh,
That's what happens?
That's what happens.
Wow. Had no idea.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
And we got to, he's got to say, how much rain. I've got a rain gauge on the site so they can monitor how much rain.
Yeah.
But here's something, and I'll make it not exactly detailed, but the Southern Building Code is minimum standards, and they change them every 2 years. And some counties are under 2014, some are under 2018, 2022. I guess your city picks which one they want to go on.
Yeah.
And I think because of a federal rule, and some of this I don't know exact, some of it I think you have to have adopted one that's less than like 6 years old. So you can't get real far out of the center. But the reason the reason that they don't just adopt them immediately is because some of the rules they find out later didn't work. Like they had these child prevention windows you had to put in a couple years back in the recent code. Well, City of Cleveland adopted that.
Yeah.
Well, they found out later that kids couldn't, while a fire was going on, manipulate these things to raise the window. So now they don't require that. So you almost have to let these rules simmer in some of these bigger areas before you accept them.
Yeah.
So I think that we should accept the one that's the oldest.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stuff that they'll require in the new, I went to a separate county and built, or a whole state and built a building. And the inspector made us do this specific thing. Nobody even sold it. I couldn't even buy it to do it. So it wasn't like something that the local supply house supplied because everybody in that area was using it. It was something that I had to order special online. You know, Ace Hardware is going to have what everybody's needing.
Yeah.
So, and that became, that particular thing, they don't even have in the rules now.
Yeah.
So it's all of that stuff.
One of the things that I'd heard that's been talked about with Doge is that's they're saying a lot of these regulations that they'd like to put, because there's no time end on them, that they put like a 5-year, whenever it was enacted, to give it 5 years, and then you got to reevaluate it. And I think that would be a great thing of what you're talking, kind of almost similar to what you're talking there. That way we're seeing if it worked, if it really had an impact. Because we don't need to get away from every regulation out there.
No, not saying that at all.
But we've got too much.
Right.
We've got way too much, and it inhibits economic growth. And
We
again,
can't even put pressure-treated lumber in the dumpster.
No
I mean,
kidding.
we're supposed to haul it to Atlanta.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Good thing they don't, enforce that.
Yeah. Well, what's your forecast for Cleveland? What do you think is going to happen to Cleveland in the next 5 years? We're going to continue to see the growth that we are having right now?
My thoughts are so bizarre that I'm embarrassed to say them because people laugh till later down the road. They say, "Boy, Dee was right," or at least that's what I think they think. But I think that I think it's going to slow down, and I say that because throughout history, prices in real estate go up an average of 2%.
Yeah.
Everything goes up 2%, including on the average. And when you don't have that for a few years, the rubber band tightens. And like those old planes, you tighten the rubber band, let them go into psh.
Yeah.
So that's what happened in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Then all of a sudden we see this, the economy's great, things are booming. They were just catching up those 7 years of normal growth. So I think we've caught that up. I think we've exceeded it. And I think that we're going to see a slight slowdown, which is probably good overall. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm saying and the economy is, if you're going out to build and sell a house right now, you say, boy, the economy's good. But if you're going out to buy a house, the economy's bad because the houses are $350,000.
Exactly. And
So it depends on which side, if you're pitching or catching.
Yeah. If you already own a house, good for you.
Good for you.
My daughter is about to move back to Cleveland from Knoxville. And a starter house, as you just said today, you're looking at $300,000. $250,000. And-
325.
Yeah. And that's kind of plain Jane from what I've seen out there. And so she's got to sell her house, which she won't have any trouble doing, and then she's got to buy one now. And so interest rate, she's going to get rid of her interest rate, which is a great interest rate, and she's going to pay more now, which slows things up. And,
Right, because she's gone from 4.5 to 7.25 or something like that.
Which kind of gets us back to the inflation side of this. That really to combat inflation, you got to drop these interest rates. In my opinion, I'm not the level of an economist that I need to be, but I know enough to be dangerous, and they've got to get this down. They've got to get it down. I think one thing that won't come down, in my opinion, is what we're paying people.
That won't come down.
That very rarely comes down. When it's there, it's stuck.
It's not even gone up as far as it's going to go because wages are they call that a trailing indicator, something like that in economics or something. So they've not really reached where they need to be.
Right. No, they haven't. again, go back to the Doge. I'm just really hoping that this thing will have an impact. I don't want it to be political. I mean, I would like to think that every American, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, I think when they start shining lights on our government and the inefficiencies that are there and what they've spent, I think this can affect trickle down, whatever I want to use the Reagan trickle down,
Right.
but it's going to affect everybody from the richest to the poorest. If we can just get rid of what we're wasting, because we're on a death spiral right now with our debt, and it's just got to stop. I mean, it's got to stop. So I think when they shine this light on there, it's a great disinfectant, and it'll help everybody. And I want to see the American spirit get back to where it's not a Republican and a Democratic thing. I want to see where
It's almost America against the other countries. At least get it out of us together.
yeah, exactly. You know, our economics. You look at economics.
How's this cord going good?
Yeah, you look at the inflation, economics, the foreign things that are going on in the world right now. Everything is tied to the economy. We have to get our economy going. And if we have a strong economy, everything works better. I mean, everything.
And if you're a home buyer, it's a bad economy. If you're looking for buying a home, it's a bad economy.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. It's like, how do I do it? How can I do
And
this?
if you're making $22 an hour, it's a bad economy.
Yeah. How do you survive on it? And I agree.
It's keeping it in the middle where wages. But here's what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to see a major overnight shift in the way people live and house and spend. Like, for instance, in the 90s, I'd be building houses. That was the decade of excess, they called it. And somebody would say, Dee, how much would it cost to put a tongue and groove on a ceiling of our porch? Oh, $8 a square foot. Well, I tell you what, go ahead and do that. And while you're at it, go ahead and put a wraparound porch around it and do that to all of the ceilings. That was their mentality. And they'll just add it to the loan because they're getting 105% of the loan anyway.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to today's 25-year-old. Now, I'm going to go into a little long story. This is where people get to thinking I'm talking off the top of my head. But if you were born if you were born in 1920 and you were about 15 years old in 1935,
okay,
you saw your dad lose his house, his farm, the Dust Belt. You didn't, all of that stuff. It was horrendous for that 15-year-old boy. Because when you're 15, you become cognitive of what your dad's going through.
Right.
At 12, you don't know. At 25, you got your own problems. But at 15, you start saying, oh, I'm spending $10 for food and he's working for $20 an hour. He's got to work 30 minutes for me to eat. You start seeing things like that. Well, that guy later, when he got old enough, or in his mid-20s, they sent him to war. Then when he came back home, bought a house, had a kid, they sent the kid to Vietnam. Now later, he's getting ready to go on Social Security. They said, well, it may not be here now. So that guy would not borrow money to buy toilet paper because it was horrendous. And that guy's about 94 today. All right, take 2010, 2009, or take 1990. We'll loan you 110% of your house, a 5-year balloon.
Yeah.
Refinance it if you need the money. They came up in 2008 and said, we've had your house reappraised, and it appraised at 70% of the value. We only loan 80%, cough up 10%.
Yeah.
Well, the guy didn't buy the guy that was 15 didn't buy the trampoline. They didn't go on that trip. They didn't put the pool at the back of the house. He didn't go to Vanderbilt. He went to UTC. Little things like that the 15-year-old was just cognitive of.
Yeah.
That guy's how old today? 2009, he was 15. How old is he today?
He is, what is he? Is he 20? How old is he?
How old
Oh,
is that
no,
big
30?
man?
32.
32.
Yeah.
That's our.
Thank you for the math.
That's
Never
our
my long suit.
That's our market, right?
Okay. Yeah.
That guy's not going to borrow money for a big house. He's not going to do it.
I agree. He's not.
He's been there.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't as bad as the Depression, but in his mind, it was.
Yeah.
So what they're going to do is they're going to find somewhere that's safe, convenient, they can park their cars, and they can pay for reasonably, and they're going to take the extra money, and they're not going to commit that to debt. They're going to go to Italy and stay in some hostas and take some really good pictures and take some good hikes. They're going to go to Yellowstone National Park, and they're going to, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're not going to build the big house.
Yeah.
So what we have to do is, and maybe and I think it's true, it will be true with every industry. We can't say, oh, we've got to have this much money. They're going to have to make more money and just have to borrow more money, $350, $400, $500, because we got to have the same profit margin. They're not going to be thinking that. We've got to come to what they will spend. What they will spend is about a fourth of their income on housing. I don't know what the insurance is. I guarantee you there's an algorithm.
Oh,
there's a percentage that they'll spend of their monthly salary on insurance. So what they're going to do is they're going to come out with a real inexpensive way to live that has those 5 things.
Yeah.
And it's not what they're building in these big subdivisions with 100 and 200 homes. That's not it.
Yeah.
So that's my story. And you say, what is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's not that.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And they're going to raise their kids. That 32-year-old is he's going to raise his kids a little more conservative than the 45-year-old.
I think you're right.
Because he
about
didn't,
that too.
he didn't go through it.
Yeah. 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 It's a different world.
It's a different world. And if we don't figure out what it is, is it a bad economy? No, it's different.
Yeah.
Figure out what's different, figure out how to manipulate that, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But don't think it's the same way.
Yeah.
The radiator repairman has no more customers.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, one thing about Cleveland too, we're so fortunate to have all our industries that we've got here. My little town that I came from, they've got the Nissan plant over there. It used to have a hat. They still may have, I think, some kind of hat factory. Had a concrete quarry, but we're blessed with so many industries here.
And so versatile.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
You know, when 08 hit with the economy, I like to say, you know, America caught the flu, and Cleveland had a bad cold, and that's
the sniffles, really.
the sniffles. That's right, and it just kept going. But they keep building here, keep building big houses too. But I think you're right; it's a different world.
It's a different world,
and
and I don't know what's
change.
going to be different.
Yeah.
Do you? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know what
I
it is.
agree.
I just know they're not going to sign up for $800,000 house.
No, I agree.
They've done that. They've seen that done.
Yeah, and aren't you glad you're not 32?
I'm glad
and
I'm
you
not.
are where you
Well,
are.
I could make a fortune though if I was. I could figure it out, I believe.
Yeah.
But everybody else could too if they could go back. Then
Yeah.
it'd be a lot more competition.
Yeah. Having 20/20 vision in hindsight's an easy thing to do. You're right.
Let me ask you this. What is the difference? This is what everybody that's not familiar with insurance does not understand, and I don't fully understand. What is an annuity?
All right. I really don't go into the finance part of it.
Is that
I
finance?
do life insurance. You know, they do these life annuities. I don't completely understand them either, to where, you give them an investment and they pay you so much per month all the way to the maturity of it. I don't have any annuities. I don't sell them. I don't do health insurance. So that's really not my expertise. We could Google it.
So you're like the rest of us. I think maybe the word annuity is such a broad
It is.
statement that you'd have to know what type of annuity.
There's all different types, and I know your true financial advisors that are not insurance agents. They will sell you an annuity, but they're not real keen on insurance agents that sell annuities. They're diametrically, I think, opposed to each other. For the ones that I've met here in town.
I always felt like it was a CD that you had to fund. You had to pay in like a CD, but it had some type of life insurance benefit to it.
Yeah.
That's basically.
There's if you get out of it a certain time, there's a penalty. Very similar to a CD.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just not at the point where I could speak in depth about it because I don't. That's not where I swim.
And health insurance is a whole nother breed.
It is, and I got out of it back when affordable health care kicked in, just because it was such a negative. I mean, no one likes to pay for insurance, but they certainly don't like to pay for health insurance, and they don't like the co-pays and all the little things about where you got to go to get your service. And one things that I can afford a Blue Cross policy. That's one of the best policies out there. And I switched my health care personally. I still have a group policy for my employees, but I switched mine over to Christian Healthcare Ministries. And I don't sell it. I don't make a commission off of it, so I'm not plugging it for that reason, which has been great for me. It's catastrophic. In essence, it's catastrophic. And
what does that mean?
Meaning catastrophic means worst case scenario. If you've got a, it's not insurance when you got a cold where you want to go to the doctor and they're
not going to pay Dr. Smith.
But I find that doctors would rather you pay them cash on small stuff anyway, and they hate dealing with the big insurance companies because they beat them up on their rates. But I did the math the other day, a year or so ago, and I mean I have saved in excess, don't know where this money is, but I've saved in excess, close to $150,000 by not having Blue Cross, Blue Shield, or United Healthcare, or any of the programs that they sell where I went to Christian Healthcare Ministries. The hole in that policy you got to watch out for is ambulatory. And if you don't have this, you need it, where you go out, your insurance may cover it, but you can join this air flight membership to where if you need to, that golden hour that you've got to get to a hospital after an accident, where they'll come and fly you in and out on a helicopter, and it's very affordable. Everybody needs to support that and buy that, because a lot of policies have different rates for your ambulatory services that you've got, which includes a helicopter, not just an ambulance, but a helicopter. So look at that very closely. But yeah,
you would never think about that.
No,
you wouldn't think about it. You think, well, most people would think, oh, that's paid for by the county or something like that.
Right. Exactly. Need to look at your policy very closely.
I wonder if they ask you, we're going to fly you out here. Do you have insurance, or they just?
I don't think they do. But they've got labels you can put on your windshield, especially if you're in a car accident, to let you know that you're a member there. And they may be a little bit more willing to say, hey, let's bring this chopper out here to get them in there a little bit quicker.
Maybe save that 2 minutes.
Because the price to do that is astronomical.
It's got to be.
I mean, I think it's north of $25K, but don't hold me to that. I don't know that, but if that's not covered under your insurance, that's a bad pill to swallow. If I could give anybody any advice on insurance today that is missed a lot, and I don't want to use any company names in our talk today, but everyone needs an umbrella. And most every insurance company will sell you an umbrella. And umbrellas are where you're liable for the other part, where you've hurt somebody else. And I'm thinking mostly automobile accidents, which that also comes from golf balls, hitting a golf ball, or in dog bites or anything like that. But most of your accidents today happen in automobiles. And so you need an umbrella for that. And every company will write it. But what most companies will not write that is catastrophic again, and insurance should cover you for those catastrophic situations, you need uninsured motorist on your umbrella. And when I talk with people about that, they say, oh, I've got that. And they'll tell me their company they're with, and I'm like, that company will not sell you this policy. And go back and look at it, and they think they've got it because they see it on their automobile policy. And you'll have it under your automobile policy. But if you get it under your umbrella and you're hurt by someone that's not at fault, and that's the trigger. It's only in there for uninsured or underinsured where somebody's hurt you. Your own $1 million umbrella will pay you. And a third of the drivers in Tennessee right now, roughly, are undocumented. And guess what? They're the ones causing a lot of the bad accidents. The other third have minimum limits. I mean, they're legal. They got a policy, and I think a minimum limit. We don't really sell minimum limits at my agency, but I think it's 25, 50. 15 now, a split limit. In essence, $25,000 if I hurt somebody for bodily injury, and that's nothing.
It's a pack of
That's nothing.
Band-Aids.
So if you've got that policy, and this is life changing, and I told you, insurance rebuilds communities, and it's that's for, if you have that umbrella, that's for every individual living in your household. From your kids riding home with someone else or whatever, and it's life changing, and it's very inexpensive, very inexpensive. So that's the number one thing I try to tell my clients when they come into my office.
Uninsured motorist on your umbrella policy.
On your umbrella, and hopefully
Everybody call your insurance company tomorrow and ask if they got that.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
You would know what's important.
I've seen it out of 25 years, and I've seen it paid, and I've seen it people not have it, and it's again, it's life changing. It's life changing when you've got that coverage. It's life changing, and it's my wife's been involved in 2 accidents, and one of them was sort of bad, but the second one she was in was really horrific, and glad we had that coverage. She received a broken neck and took a big part of her scalp off, and it was a 16-year-old driver that did it. And that's another thing. I wish all 16-year-old drivers almost had yellow. Yeah, they had a yellow light on top, or had an 800 number that says "Call my dad, mom" at this number. There's a lot of 16-year-olds, and there's no better teacher than experience. You got to start at some place at some time. But there's a lot of 16-year-olds that just, they're just not mature enough to be driving.
I told my boys, I said, well, when you get 16, our insurance going up. I said, why? Because they know you're going to have a wreck.
Exactly.
They
Especially
know
if you're a boy.
If you're a boy,
Yeah.
you're going to have a wreck.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is.
Hormones.
But it is.
Hormones.
Hormones, I guess.
Yeah. And then the other thing happens that as you get older, when you get older, then your rates start going up again. So you got to stay in that sweet spot to get the best
That's the only
price
time
out
you can
there.
make any money is that sweet spot.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I try to keep my life insurance equal to my debt. Is that a good idea?
That's a great idea. That's a very good
That way,
idea.
if I die, I don't have to pay it off.
I always tell people too, especially when you're young, life insurance is very inexpensive when you're young. I advise my clients to buy large policies for their 16, 17, 18-year-olds. Because when you're young, a lot of your health problems are masked. You don't know that they're there till they get older. And then you can be uninsurable when it comes to buy life insurance. And so, I'm talking, and by the way, I'm talking term insurance.
Not whole life?
Not whole life. There's different types of life policies, but most of your financial gurus will tell you buy the cheapest term you can get and go with that policy. But the other thing about buy more than what you need, because at the beginning your debt, like you said, will be higher. It's harder to go up with the death benefit than it is to go down. Going down is your debt decreases. You can reduce your death benefit, which reduces your premium.
Yeah.
And you still got that great rate when you were a young person. So, buy when you're young, you need to buy a 30-year policy. Go out
For $20 million, whatever you can get, whatever you can afford,
exactly,
whatever $1,500, whatever $1,000 a month will pay, something like that.
Because it's very, very inexpensive.
But I like the whole life policies too.
Well, it builds cash value, and so that's kind of like putting money in the bank.
Yeah,
and so you're right about that. If you can afford to do that, that's a good thing.
But you're getting interest on it.
Yeah,
I mean, why save money when you can just put it in that and get a little. I remember I was getting 4% interest when everybody was getting 2% on a CD.
Right.
And I had insurance too.
Right. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
That's too simple, isn't it?
It is. Yes, it is. And it gets something that at the end of the maturity period, you've got, it's like putting it in a savings account. Mm-hmm. So that's.
You don't have to leave your family anything other than that. Yeah. You can say, hey, I'll blow the rest of this.
Yeah.
Because I've got that insurance in place.
Exactly.
Yeah. Your company's one that puts people's birthday up there, right? That's what you're known for.
I do that. Actually, my sign is about worn out. If you drove by my office today, you'll just see one side of it working because I'm robbing all the panels from one side to move to the other. But I've just purchased a new one, and it's actually due in this week, and they're not cheap.
Well, you had to buy a whole new one?
Had to buy a whole new one. The life of these things are about 10 to 12 years.
What, about 12,000?
I wish. No, right, about 65,000.
Golly, you get a stand with it or just the sign?
No, I still got to. No, I've already got my poles there, so I've got to get somebody to come weld it on there now. I'll get somebody to come do
60,000.
that. 65,000. These flat panel TVs have gone down. They're so inexpensive. I don't know. I went into Costco the other day. There was like an 83 or 85 inch TV, and it was, I think it was $850. But digital signs are not that way. But what I love about my birthdays, it has branded me in the community. And I get my birthdays from people that are friends with me on Facebook, not from my insurance information. I never commingle that.
Oh, it's not that. It's not, okay.
So if you're a friend with me on Facebook, and I know your birthday. I say I know your birthdays. A lot of people are keeping that off now, keeping that information out. So I get your picture from Facebook, and I put it on the digital sign, and it changes every day. Every day with whose birthday. It's a great community sign.
Who does that? You have somebody in the office that does
You're looking at him, and I won't let anybody else do it but me, just because it's just too. It could be too volatile, especially you put the wrong picture up there.
Yeah, or the wrong name.
And I've done this now for close to 13, 14 years, and I'm ashamed to tell you this, but 2 different times I had somebody's birthday up there that had just passed away.
Oh, God.
It was terrible. It was terrible. But, everybody on Facebook, was wishing them happy birthday.
So
and the people were real nice to
Yeah.
me. They call and say, hey, Joe's not with us anymore. And, man, I take it off just like that. Felt terrible about it. But that's still a pretty good track record.
Hey, we've had people on the podcast, we put their name up, put the wrong name up, haven't we?
Well, it happens.
It happens. It's just a mistake.
And it's, most people are very appreciative of it.
Yeah.
I've had a couple people said I'd rather not have my, rather not let anybody know it's my birthday.
Well, they need to take it off Facebook.
Yeah,
because that's what
exactly.
it is.
Exactly.
I took mine off Facebook.
Yeah. Due to identity theft, I guess, right?
Well, no, I just think it's. I think the date of your birth is just a slow downer. If you did not know how old you were, if you were not reminded every year, how old would you? If you had to guess and you didn't know how old you were, how old would you think you were?
Yeah, I forget how old I am. Oftentimes.
I mean, what are you? 38?
Yeah.
36?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you have to be reminded? Oh, I'm supposed to be.
But
acting old.
everybody needs to feel special one day of the year. And really, if you really wanted to know about a birthday being special, in my opinion, you ought to thank your mom. Because she's the one that went through the 9 months of carrying you, and for most people, probably did without a lot of the things we just talked about in order to sacrifice for her children. Mom, and by the way, I think women women make the world go round. They give it a big push. You know, they put their shoulder behind things. They're workers. They're workers.
Nobody cares for you like your mother.
That's right. No one will love you like your mom.
No.
That's exactly
Your dad
right.
will try.
That's right. That's exactly.
But it's just not the same.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well said. That's well said. But the birthday things have been good for the business, and they've been good for the community. And I get a lot of praises from that, people thanking me for doing it. And it is a lot of work. I usually set it up on the weekend, and it'll run all week. So I don't.
Does it take you an hour?
Yeah, right at it. Right at it. Yeah. And so.
You got a great location.
Yeah, and it, you know, it was difficult to get the digital sign out there. I had to go through a sign ordinance. What do you call it? A deviation? Or what is this?
Variance.
A variance to get it done, and it took 6 months for our friends on the signboard to give me the approval to it. Actually, when I first did it, I'll never forget. I went in front of the board, and one of the guys, I don't want to mention any names, and I'm pretty sure he's since passed because he was an older guy, but he's like, why do you have to have a digital billboard? Why don't you just use yellow pages like everybody else? So and I said, well, I wanted to be right on the main street, and this is where people do business. So it all worked out. Mm-hmm. But and we need, and again, back to regulations. You know, I agree. We need a sign ordinance. We do. Sometimes they can be ugly and distracting.
Well, obviously yours is not offensive in any way.
I appreciate you saying that.
I mean, it's not.
I only let it run. You know, I think I've got it set for 3 seconds, where every 3 seconds it changes. Yeah. I don't want anybody to have an accident while they're looking at it up there. But I could put full video up there. Thought about putting the Vols up, but I figured that might get.
You're
me
big
in
into balls, aren't you?
You know, my wife says I'm a Faraday fan, but I did go to the Columbus. Drove up to Columbus to watch them play Ohio State, and they handed us our hat. But I'm a Vols fan. Yeah, I am. I'm not one of these guys, and I know you know them, that after they lose, their whole year's ruined. I mean, their day's ruined. Everything's bad. No, that's not me.
I'm just not a football guy.
Are you not?
I've watched one football game in my life.
No kidding.
It just does not do it for me.
See, I feel that way about racing. And
I've been to
a couple NASCARs.
2 races.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do anything
It doesn't for me either.
Isn't that, and for a while I would probably, act like it or something, but I don't know. I don't even know, when they kick it, what they get. I'm just so oblivious to that.
Yeah.
I'm oblivious to cars, too.
Are you? Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Do you ever go down to so you're so close, do you ever go to Baskin Robbins and get an ice cream?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What kind do you get?
I like a peanut butter yogurt shake. That's what I get.
So you don't get the cone?
No, I get the peanut, but when I eat ice cream, I'll go to Publix and I'll get their Rocky Road yogurt. Mm-hmm. My grandkids recently went through a Mayfield Dairy tour. Mm-hmm. What do you think their let's see if I remember this right, their number 1 seller of ice cream?
I had him here on the podcast, and I asked him that, and I think he said old-fashioned vanilla something. It wasn't just vanilla.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think?
I was thinking it was the Rocky Road. I could be wrong.
Butter pecan's pretty good.
You like that?
Yeah.
You know what the most expensive ice cream Mayfield makes?
Pistachio, maybe?
Strawberry.
Wonder why?
Strawberry. I guess just because of the fresh fruit they put in it, I guess. I don't know.
I usually get the cotton. When I go down here, I usually get the cotton candy and a waffle cone. But that 1 scoop is not quite enough, and 2 will give me a sugar high. So what do you do? They got that figured out.
Because you can't throw it away.
You can't throw it. Yes. And a malt. Well, I like a malt, too.
Yeah, I like a malt, too. Yeah.
A malt tastes different than a shake.
Yes, yes. Do you remember growing up as a kid, did you ever have a Coke float?
Oh, did I?
Yeah, I don't think anybody has Coke floats anymore. But
Boy, they're so good, aren't they? God,
yeah.
they're good.
Yeah. yeah.
And you had to really put the right amount of Coke in there.
Yes, that's right.
Because you could really mess. Boy, those were good, weren't
Yeah.
they? And you'd take that you have a long spoon?
Yes, yeah, to stir it up
Yeah.
at the end. Yeah.
Boy, I'm going to have one of them tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, you had to have the long. Boy, there's something about that Coke would make a vanilla ice cream just taste totally different.
Yeah. My dad is the oldest of a big family, so he kind of helped raise a lot of other kids born on a farm in Arkansas. And he used to say when he would get his Coke, though, and back in Arkansas they had drank a lot of Pepsis too. Coke's kind of what we got here,
Yeah.
but he said they would water it down just to make it last longer.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, he said you didn't want to drink them all up. It was a treat to have a soda.
And growing up, I would not have thought about having a meal without a Coke. I mean, that was just standard, wasn't it with you?
Yeah.
I mean, it was the big bottles, the big.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the big platinum. They got the plastic ones later.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking those little at night when I eat supper, I drink those little 10-ounce canned Cokes.
Yeah.
And it's about I was thinking this yesterday for some reason. It's about 2 swallows more than I really want.
Yeah.
And that's really about the 6-ounce Coke that they used to have in the soda shops.
Yeah.
They were 6-ounce Coke.
You drink the real thing, or do you?
I drink the real thing
Okay.
because I get them. Gwen has to have one every thing. But I get with the real cane sugar.
Yeah. Oh, that is
Boy,
good.
that's good. Boy, you can't drink. You couldn't drink a big one.
Yeah. When you go to Europe, they won't give you ice. I mean, you really got to beg for the ice.
No, they say that's how they know if you're not from there.
Yeah, and the other thing is every soda that you get is a bottle, and they charge you for each one of them. It's not this. It's not this unlimited fountain.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. They don't have soda fountains over there.
Or ice. Wonder what they got against ice.
I don't understand that either. I
mean, how you drink a hot Coke?
I know.
Have you had when I was sick sometimes, I hadn't done this in a while, that we'd take a Dr. Pepper and heat it up and drink hot warm Dr. Pepper. I don't know why that was, but that's something you ever do that?
I've done that.
I mean, I don't know what it was supposed to do, but.
Yeah. The other thing we did too was take those honey buns and put them in a toaster and put a little butter and a little cinnamon on it.
Boy, that's good.
Oh yeah, make a
Do you ever eat cinnamon bread? Cinnamon toast? You just put butter and cinnamon.
Yes.
I had that for breakfast for years. That was a big deal.
Yeah. Did you ever have TV dinners when you were a kid?
Did I?
Do they? I guess they still have them. Do they?
I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Frozen. It was frozen TV dinners, and you had to have a TV stand, 'cause
Right, exactly. Yeah.
they always had corn and carrots, that mixture.
Yes, yeah.
That must be the
peas and carrots.
Peas and carrots. That must have been the cheapest thing.
Yeah, Salisbury steak.
Salisbury steak. Later they got fried chicken, Swanson's had the fried chicken.
Yeah.
I remember on Archie Bunker, every now and then he'll say, "What am I going to have to eat tonight? TV dinners?" Because there wasn't enough there to eat, was there?
Yeah.
What do you eat? What's your
favorite food?
No, what's your comfort food?
My comfort food.
Because there's a difference.
Yeah, it's hard to turn away potato chips at night that crunch.
Ruffles?
I like sour cream. I like a folded over sour cream, but
sour cream what?
A Lay's sour cream potato chip. Yeah. If I'm just relaxing at TV at night, it's hard not to do that. And the other thing is losing weight. Man, I used to drop 10 pounds in a week, just no
thinking
problem.
about it.
No problem. Now I'm 61, and it's like it's not that easy anymore. But my favorite food. That is a difference between comfort food.
It's a difference.
I see what you're saying there, but I have a weakness for fried chicken. I mean, my mother used to fry 2 chickens, and by the way, she always cut them up. Buy the whole chicken, and she made one for the family and one for me. So, might eat it later at night, but it
had a lemon pepper taste, or what? Or was it a...
No, it was just regular fried chicken. And some of the best chicken I've ever had has paprika in it. But yeah. Yeah. But I love fried chicken.
I
And
like fried
And I tell you
chicken.
who I think has the best fried chicken in town.
Who?
Publix. You ever go to Publix and get their fried chicken? that
No,
little 8-piece box?
but I would believe it because they've got a lot of good food there.
Yeah, they do.
Piggly Wiggly's not bad. Now you might laugh, but you go there on their. They got a little buffet there.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
I tell you who's got the best fried chicken is Stacy's up in Charleston.
That is good fried chicken. I've had that there too.
That's good
You're
fried
exactly
chicken.
right. Yeah.
I guess mine would be meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and a little Tabasco.
Yeah.
A little too much Tabasco.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and maybe we don't need to be promoting too many businesses here today,
Yeah.
but where's your favorite Mexican restaurant?
Well,
And you could just say Keith Street, I guess, but that might be 4 or 5 of them.
no, you can say Keith. Yeah. I don't know if you're going just for food, just for the taste. Probably that one over on Highway 60 there. They've got the real good chips. They got the real good sauce. And she used to run the one in the mall, and her brother's the one. Her brother Lala has the one at George McCoy's Plaza.
Okay.
But they're both good.
Yeah.
They're both good.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Now, have you ever gone down to that Mexican grocery store on Stewart and gone back in the back and ordered a burrito or something from
No.
that little kitchen?
No, I haven't.
Now, buddy, that's
I
good.
haven't.
It's authentic as
Yeah.
they get. They can't even speak
Yeah.
English.
You know, there's a new place that's opened up over at the old chalet. That's
Somebody told me yesterday to go
Yeah.
by there. Wonder what is it Mexican?
yeah, it's Latin.
Latin.
But
Yeah. What would be the difference?
Yeah, I don't know, but they bill it as Latin.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I ate there once. It was good. It was good. We've got so many Mexican restaurants. And you know, the other thing we got, I know when you said, hey, would you come in and talk with me? We'll talk about coffee.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about coffee. In fact, you want a cup of coffee?
I'm good right now, thank you, sir. But you know, I kind of thought we had enough coffee shops in town, but they just keep coming up everywhere.
I've got a really good idea. Because I like, that's where we usually see each other at coffee shops.
Yeah.
And where would I don't like Bond Life too much. It's just, they don't, and I don't think they like me.
Well, they got all different types of coffee there. You get it any way you want it, you know.
Yeah, and metal chairs clanging too if you're there.
Say that again.
Metal chairs clanging so loud.
Yeah.
And if I go to the one on Ocoee and I guess Bobby Taylor Boulevard or whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's really not that good.
Lassiter's.
Lassiter's is a little loud to me.
Yeah.
I think they've got a little better. They've got pretty good coffee. It has
Yeah, they do.
It has the slight burnt taste.
Yeah.
Which I like more than the spicy.
Yo, I agree.
The spicy I can't.
Yeah. But you can order it any way you want. But there is definitely a difference. And with my group, you know, we got my little coffee group is anywhere from 6 to 15 people. And you know what's just as important. And don't get me wrong, I love a cup of coffee to start my day off. I'm a 2-cup guy though. I try to stop at that point. But you want a comfortable chair to sit in when you come with these groups of guys.
Absolutely.
You want to be able to talk about, you know, the politics, the economy, you know, what's going on in foreign affairs and things. I love my coffee time with my guys. And we've been doing that for 25 years. We've lost a few through the years. Some of them passed away, but we got young guys, middle age, and older guys there. But and it truly is where you'll see these politicians come out. They want to go to a coffee shop. You know,
and they'll come and meet.
They tell this is where the rubber meets the road. You know, you get to hear it all from local politics to to the big stuff there.
But you got to have good coffee.
You
Isn't
got
that
to
a
have good
prerequisite?
coffee. I get it. I know. When I get a drip sometimes, and if they've changed it and it's not, and if it's like I said, if it's spicy or whatever,
Yeah,
no, that's not me.
Have you ever
or
gone-
fruity? I don't want it fruity.
I don't want it fruity. I like the slightly burnt taste.
Yeah.
Which is not, people say, oh, I don't like it. I'm not talking
real
about
earthy,
strong.
real
It's
earthy.
just real earthy.
You know, the other thing that I've looked at here lately, and my daughter has gotten into this health kick, and she's taking it to a big degree here, and she's right about a lot of stuff. But you know, they're fine. This thing that concerns me, okay, and I'm talking about plastics in the environment. You know, they have gone into the polar caps, and they're finding plastic molecules in the snow in one of the most protected areas on Earth. They're catching fish that have plastics molecules in the fish. We've got a major plastics problem. And in my opinion, that's where we need more regulation, where we need to come in, and if you're going to make something out of plastic and it can't be recycled, you shouldn't be able to make it. And we need to recycle it because it's eventually going to be polluting this world. That it's just, we got to stop it. But how that relates to the coffee is that, you know, these K-cups that you've got are in plastic. And they superheat that heat up in that plastic cup, and, you know, you get plastic molecules in your coffee.
They say that the average person eats the equivalent to a credit card a year in
That's what I've heard.
plastics.
That's what I've heard.
That can't
And
be good.
so you got to think just how big of a, what does it, you know, you look at cancer that's so prevalent now, you know, is it environmental cancer, or is it genetic cancer, or was it environmental and then passed on genetically that got to you? You just, but it can't be good.
It can't be
Like you
good.
said,
It's
it
got
just
to be
can't be good.
environmental from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you know.
Have you ever gone down to Wildwood at Tree's place?
No, I don't think I have.
Well, she's got good coffee.
Okay.
And if you get she explained, I had her on my podcast, she explained why you get that spicy taste. They evidently cook the outside of the bean off of it. And that's what gives it that spicy or maybe a Spanish taste.
Yeah.
But I can't think of the name of that place. It's on Inman Street or Wildwood Avenue. Real nice place, 2-story building. They got good music. Got Van Morrison on the thing. They're only open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And it's really good place to go. They got clean bathrooms, everything you want. One thing I've noticed is it doesn't matter how bad the economy or how bad the weather or how good the weather or what time of day or what holiday it is. These little coffee shops will always have somebody in them.
You're right.
Now, the other businesses that are, and this is a little bit of a roundabout story, but do you remember Lee's Bookstore?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they went out of business,
Yeah.
but they had a little living room setting in the back, and they had free coffee, and you just went up there and pumped your own coffee out of that thermos.
Yeah.
Had comfortable seats, had clean bathrooms, wasn't nobody, nobody was, and you could just sit there and make 4 or 5, 6, 7 phone calls. I had several meetings scheduled just there. It was real neat place.
Yeah.
And I always try to buy something before I leave or something silly or whatever.
Yeah.
But, spend $2 or something.
Yeah.
But they were always busy, no matter what. The other business that's always busy is McKay's Bookstore in Chattanooga. If they're open right now, there's a line, and there's no rhyme or reason why that place is so busy. In fact, when Larry died, I emptied out his apartment. His sister left the stuff, and so I didn't know what to do. He had like a table full of books, so I just took them down there, and I said, "Can y'all take these or give me something for them?" They gave me $88 credit. It was really a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's always somebody there, And there is always also these little antique shops. The antique part on Grove Avenue, or that brick and brack place on, I guess it's King Edward or Blythe or somewhere over there. There are always people in them.
Yeah.
Grit and Grace, that place.
Yeah.
And Grit and Grace is trying to do this. They're trying to incorporate a coffee shop with the Grit and Grace.
Yeah.
But here's where I think the mistake is, because they're not understanding the mentality of the coffee drinker. He thinks differently. And if you could take an antique parlor and have you some rows and have you a couple of shelves that have some old books or something like McKay's, and have you a coffee shop with some settees. What do you call those? Settees, where you have just two chairs and a table, and mix them into the place. You could not beat the people off. You'd need about 5,000 or 8,000 square feet. You'd have to charge reasonable for the coffee. You'd have to lease the coffee section to an outside provider. Let them lease it. Maybe in the Starbucks.
Yeah.
And you would have to have somebody at the front desk collecting the tickets for the antiques, because they're all the same people. Am I right?
Yeah.
They're the same people.
Yeah. Yeah.
They think they're all, anybody that drinks coffee will buy an interesting picture frame. Am I crazy?
Yeah. No, you're right.
But where would you
Always
put that?
looking for something eclectic too, something
Or nostalgic.
Nostalgic.
What's the
exactly.
difference between eclectic and nostalgic?
Not much at all. I love to collect old books on Teddy Roosevelt, and I've probably got 7 or 8 of them, and I've not even read all of them, but I've read all I can read on Teddy Roosevelt.
You mean just different authors, whatever?
Authors that own him, or books that books, autobiographies. He's got a couple autobiographies out there, but yeah.
So if you saw a book on Teddy Roosevelt, you'd just buy it.
I'd buy it. I certainly would.
What else would you buy?
I get most of my books on tape now, and again, I talked about losing weight. I listen to my books on tape when I'm working out. That's usually when I do that.
Fiction or what?
Oh, I'm a nonfiction guy for the most part.
Autobiographies or biographies or what?
Yeah.
The story of this guy.
I love history.
See, I
love history.
See, I like to be in a spot where I'm not, where I can focus on the driving or something, but not working out. When working out, I'm, Quiet Ride or Ozzy Osbourne.
I listened to a great autobiography the other day. Actually, some time ago, one of my favorite ones is on Matthew McConaughey, called Green Lights.
He's about as interesting as you can get.
Yeah, and he narrates his own autobiography. And if you've not listened to it, it's fantastic.
Where do you get them?
I go through Spotify.
I've got a Spotify account.
Yeah. I go through Audible. I listen to my podcast through Spotify. I go through Audible, and they give you 12 books that are rolling on there for credit for each one. So anytime I never want to go down to zero. I always kind of keep it all down. I got so many books I've downloaded I've not listened to yet. But when I'm reading a book, a lot of times I'll read it when I'm on a plane. That's when I like to have a book. And you get a little older. Yeah, I used to never have any fear of flying. But you get older, you get all these different things going on in your life. But one thing that relaxes me when I'm on a plane, and I fly so much now that I'm okay. But I found that reading took care of it wasn't a phobia of flying or a fear of flying, but it just, you can only concentrate on one thing, especially when you hit that turbulence, you just start reading those lines. And
I've tried that. I've taken books with me, and I just never do it. I end up, playing something on that, trying to find a movie for 2 hours,
Yeah. One thing that helped me with my fear of flying. Trying to remember the guy that landed the plane in the Hudson.
Scully.
Scully.
Yeah.
Made a movie.
Well, that was a good movie.
It was a great movie. But
Great
I
movie.
saw his interview on the Today Show, and he said, if you've got the fear of flying, because it's always when the plane starts, vibrating a little bit when you get, especially if you're going to the West Coast. Anytime you go over the Continental Divide, you get this wind that comes up from the mountains, and it's almost every time you're going to feel it and it starts shaking. But he said, get in a car, let somebody else drive the car, blindfold yourself, and you're going to feel yourself do this. You're going to feel yourself jump up and down, And he said, what makes you think a plane's not going to do the same thing? But yet you don't get fearful when you're in a car, when you hit bumps, and when you go around curves and stuff like that. And it's like planes don't come down because of turbulence, for the most part.
So if you're feeling turbulence, that's not going to be what does it.
It's not going to bring the plane down. Again, the most dangerous time is, probably your first 10 minutes after takeoff and 10 minutes coming into landing. Once that thing gets up in the air,
I never was scared on a plane for some weird reason. I had a friend of mine, Gene Officer, said, well, if the plane went down with D's on it, they'd say, well, he's so lucky. They'd say, we got one guy that survived, but he's brain dead. So it was sort of a compliment and a jab at the same time.
Yeah. Well, what was the last book you read or listened to?
I'm reading right now All the Way Down to Crazy.
Okay.
It's about a guy that, or All the Way to Crazy. And I hadn't gotten that far, but the guy is living in Mississippi, and he's from California, and he's got his family here, and everything's going good, but he gets this yearning to go to Arizona. And when he gets there, it's not much different than where he was from. So I'm thinking that later maybe Crazy is a town.
Yeah.
And maybe, because I went to, the reason I read this is I went to Tucson about 2 months ago and drove down to Bisbee. It's right on the border, and it's the wild, wild west. I mean, I can't describe it.
Yeah.
But it's very, I don't know, there's just a surrealness about it at the same time. And I'm thinking that guy, I don't know what it's about, but it's some realization of something, and I haven't quite got there. But I like, but that's sort of fiction, and I don't normally read those. But a friend of mine got it for me, so you got to read it.
Sure.
Don't you hate that when somebody gets you a book, you got to read it?
Like a fruitcake.
Yeah. Oh yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
But a fruitcake, they're not going to quiz you on it.
Exactly.
I like one of my favorite books is The Forgotten Self.
Okay.
And it's a really good book. Everybody needs to start reading it every January.
Yeah.
And finish it about February, and then go on the year.
I always say the hardest person to really know is the guy looking back at you in the mirror. Mm-hmm. To really know yourself the way you are. So if it's anywhere around those lines, I'm sure it's interesting.
Well, what his premise is, and people will argue, don't you hate to get in an argument with people about what a book means? Because it might mean something different to me than it does to you. And so there's no need in us agreeing what the author meant or the artist.
Yes.
That's like looking at an abstract painting and say, well, you're wrong, it means that. No, he's wanting me to see it as I see it.
Yeah.
And that is art, provokes thought. Just doesn't say what it is, it just provokes thought.
Yeah.
So, but what the book tells me is that that in life, that by the time we're 15, 18, 20, we know what our life wants to look like. And when we get reasonably close to that, we're not satisfied, and we work to go past it, and we never quite enjoy being there with a reasonable degree, and and through advertising and everything. Oh, you're not successful enough. If you were, you'd have one of these watches. So you get on life's treadmill. The name of the book is Life's Treadmill, but he consistently brings up the forgotten self. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to forget what you were trying to go for. And you can do that with children and marriage. You know, you can't have the perfect wives, but within a reasonable degree, you can get close, and beyond that, you're just asking for too much.
Yeah.
And you can be dissatisfied.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good book.
That is, and that's a lot of truth to that too. You know, the getting people satisfaction is a difficult thing. The law of diminishing returns is a true law. Mm-hmm. You know, there's nothing like me giving you a glass of water when you've been in the desert for 3 days without any water. Mm-hmm. And that first glass is fantastic. Mm-hmm. And the second glass I give you is good, but it's not as good as the first.
After a while, I'm going to say, where's my Gatorade, man?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think there's a hole in us that in men and women in general that's unfillable. That's unfillable. That you know, we're just never completely satisfied. It's hard to be complete, and it's good when you can find yourself to be satisfied.
Well, that's what this book is trying to say, that we should be satisfied within a reasonable degree.
Within a reasonable degree. That's good.
and let it go at that.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember on one of those, what was that Donald Trump thing where he did The Apprentice, and he had that was it one of those celebrities on there was kind of supposedly a goofy type guy, but he actually did his thing very well.
Yeah.
Then he didn't look like the type that would.
Yeah.
And his team members criticized him for not doing more. And then Donald when they were at the table, he said, "Your teammates said you didn't do more. Why didn't you do more?"
Yeah.
He said, "Well, I was finished with what I wanted to do, and I didn't want to overrun my focus." He fired him anyway. But I thought that guy had a very reasonable thing. I mean, he didn't want to overdo his focus. That can happen.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you could start selling all types of insurance, and I could start bidding all these jobs in Dayton, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I'm just falling to pieces, and you don't have time to put your birthday signs up.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't have time to go make coffee with the guys. That's probably a place where you get some work, some business in a sense.
Yeah, so, that's right. I never watched The Apprentice. I know what it was about. Never saw it. But bringing Trump back up, how long do you think Musk and what's his name? What's our Indian?
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Vivek, yeah. You think they'll make it all the way through the presidency without one of them getting fired?
If I remember, and they'll throttle us for even bringing up his name. It's funny how it'll just they throttle it. Maybe they don't now, but anybody that brings up the name, they throttle it. I don't. Maybe it won't be now.
Yeah.
But if I remember right, they were only going to do that for like 10 months or 14 months or something. It wasn't a 4-year thing. It was like do a study and do a report sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a 4-year commitment by them.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it. But it's going to be all, if you're not working real hard and trying to be progressive, the next 4 years is going to leave you behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's not just for the wealthy and the entitled. It's for he's for the guy that's working to be productive.
I believe that.
If you're just going to put CDs in the bank and say this is the way we should do it, and I believe they're going to leave you behind.
Yeah.
I believe there are going to be some immigrants that are going to take advantage of the system that he's got, and they're going to surpass these people that are sitting around just pointing fingers and trying to collect money off of CDs and stuff.
Yeah.
He's for the working guy, not
Yeah.
just the working guy, but the guy that's going to just work himself to death. That's who this next 4 years is for. And we better get on board.
I
Drink our
100%
orange
agree
juice.
with you. Like I
Drink
said,
our orange juice.
Yeah, 100%. You know, you hear of the, and I'm glad to hear you use the word progressive, because I've always said that, you know, I was an election judge, or I think it was called a judge with the Republican Party here in Bradley County for about 12 years. I don't know if that's the correct term. I went out with my Democratic counterpart to the different polls to handle problems and make sure everything was run properly. But I am for America above party. And when you use the word progressive, it tends to be progressive means that you're more leaning left, Democrat, and progressive means moving forward.
Moving forward.
And that's what we got to have. We've got to be progressive. We've got to do that. And
it has nothing to do with your lifestyle.
Yeah.
I don't care.
And I think you'll agree with. Don't you just believe that our government has just gotten too big? It's just not. There's too many things going on. It's just too. It used to be when you were elected for a position, you went. It was a duty to go up there and do what you needed to do, and then you left. And now people get in there and they just don't leave. And I'm talking about both sides.
A lot of them hadn't even worked before.
But yeah, they've never worked, but yet they come out bazillionaires.
Yeah.
And you know, that's a problem. That's a problem. And that's one thing I like about Trump coming in is I know he's there for 4 years. He's gone.
He's gone.
And it's like too many times a president comes in or anybody comes in, they want to do the right thing, but they want to stay in the job, so they want to get reelected, so they don't make hard decisions that got to be made. And there's a lot of hard decisions that's got to be made.
If it's like my business or yours, and I assume it is, you would not understand, like I said, how regulations affect me, and I wouldn't understand how they affect you.
Yeah.
And we probably have no clue what they're up against and how little maybe they control.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't even tell us why these 50 drones are flying over New Jersey.
Blows my mind.
They don't even know why, and if they do, they're not. You know, it's just that's a whole nother ball game.
You know, the Japanese before World War II called us a sleeping giant. I still think we're asleep in many ways. You know, it's just so big.
Well,
there's you know, I don't know that this Doge thing can really make a difference. I hope it does. And again, I think it will if the American people really start seeing it's in all our best interests not to have some of the things that they've got up there. But, you know, you can't, the machine's going to fight back.
Well, in 2009, I went through my whole office, and things got bad, and I had less jobs. So I just went through, and I started looking at things I could cut out that didn't matter. I cut out $798 in, I don't even know what it was, you know, like a
These were monthly occurring.
Subscriptions to this, subscriptions to that. I think I had Spectrum and AT&T.
Yeah.
I had cable that we weren't even watching. It was $798 worth of reoccurring expenses that I wasn't even using.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if I've got that and I'm tight, there's no telling what they've got. Now, I was looking the other day at something, renew on my credit card, and I thought, what's this? And I said, well, I'll check it next week. So here I go again. Here I go again. It just ebbs and flows.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let me ask you this.
Okay.
When you get up in the morning, you're going to the coffee shop and you're going to go to work and you're going to sift the birthday things up. You got meetings and you're going to try to see this guy. In a nutshell, what are you trying to do?
On an average day for me.
Yeah, I mean, not just with work, not just with family. I mean, are you trying to get one place? Are you trying to find the forgotten self, or are you trying to be a big insurance? What are you?
You know, how do I say this? I feel like I've paid my dues. I've worked, you know, I used to have a thing. I always wanted to be the first one in the office and the last one to leave. And I just think that was the work ethic that I needed to have for my culture in my office. And over the last 5 or 6 years, I'm 61. I'm trying to take more trips, do more things, and relax a little bit more and have more fun along the way. I'm not as, I'm a little bit more laid back now. So when you ask what I try to do, I just try to make the most of every day and not take life so serious, as serious as I used to. I enjoy my coffee with my guys, and I used to feel guilty about that. I don't feel guilty about it anymore. Life in general, for me, is about connectivity. And the more connected you are, for me, and I think this is true for everybody, maybe not everybody, but for me, the more connected you are, the happier you'll be. Whether you're selling insurance or building homes the way that you do, or commercial buildings, opportunities come when you're connected. And it's not just opportunities about money. It's about opportunities for friendship, knowing who to call when you got a problem. There's just a tremendous value in being connected. And I have worked really hard at networking and being connected. And again, coffee shops are one way that you can do that. You can meet a lot of people at the coffee shop. People to talk to you in the coffee shop where they wouldn't talk with you when you go knock on the door sometimes. Coffee's good.
But that's not the bar at Chili's at 5.
No,
You're missing that group.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
That's not our thing.
No, it's really not.
It's not our thing.
Not at all. Not at all. Nowhere close to it. That's not where I.
So friendship.
Yes, sir, without a doubt. But I think, you always, he who dies with the most toys wins. I think it's he who dies with the most friends wins. And, to get a friend, you got to be a friend. And
that's a complicated one.
It is.
And it's very serious.
And we're all complicated, I've got I got some very good friends that think of life in a whole different manner than I do. And so that's another thing about life is you got to accept people for who they are. And you never know till you've walked in another person's shoes what they've gone through and why they feel the way they feel.
Absolutely.
And too many people look at that through a myopic tunnel and can't appreciate people for who they are. But I do my best to appreciate people for who they are and try to understand them and learn from them.
But what's the point? Just to learn?
To experience. The experience. I think, again, that's another thing about life is experiences. Life is about relationship and experiences. And your friends will give you new experiences. It'll teach you things you didn't know, things you didn't understand. So yeah, that's the two most things for me that are important is as relationships and experiences. And he who has more of them will be a better person and hopefully a wiser person, hopefully.
And this has been a good one.
It has been. And I thank you for this opportunity
thanks, Jim.
my friend. And I hope to see you at a coffee shop.
I'll do it, buddy. We may start our own.
That's right. We'll do that.